Ryan Neal, Irish Drive.
Thanks, Ryan.
You know, he's coming to Boise in April.
Let's do lunch.
Yeah, let's do lunch.
That'd be fun.
It's a good tune.
Good tune.
Nice job, Ryan Neal, Irish Drive. Welcome to the Founders Pod, everybody. Thanks for joining us wherever you are, whenever you are. Appreciate you spending time with us. Founders Pod, I'm Brandon Minard, broadcasting live from our United Commercial Insurance studio. Happy to be here with you with my co-host, Jordan Hansen and Matt Lamb. Welcome, gentlemen.
Good to be here.
Hey, thank you. Good to see you too.
Glad you guys are here.
We are here. We're on YouTube as well at the Founders Pod. We are live in the studio together.
Live whenever you are watching this.
That's right. Yes.
I kind of want to take this to a set. So we're doing a mini pod. And so we're excited to bring this topic to you today. I'm really excited about it because it's something that it's been in the news. It's been something I've thought about, I've dealt with. Kind of frustrating. But before, I think we're going to run a segment.
That's right.
Let's do it.
What's the deal with?
I'm going to take this one.
Go.
What's the deal? Are you ready?
Ready.
Top Gun.
Which one?
First one, second one?
In fact,
Wait.
there's a specific portion of
I know what you're
each.
talking about.
There's a specific portion of each. Okay.
Right.
We're just going to do the second one. Top Gun Maverick.
I like Top Gun.
You're talking about the opening.
I'm talking about the opening.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Maverick going Mach, whatever.
11?
Almost 11.
Almost.
I think 10-8.
Because he's like driving the experimental craft at that point, right?
He ejected before the plane blew up going Mach 8. He would be eviscerated.
Is that true?
Okay. Yes, that's 100%
really?
true.
I didn't even think about
He
that.
he didn't eject in a pod. He didn't do anything. He just basically, he can eject and he never dies when he ejects.
I mean,
Ejects
From the plane. And then he just kind of floats down and walks into a place in Kansas.
Well, it's Tom Cruise.
No.
did he?
That's stupid.
Did he run?
In fact, there's some conspiracy out there that he died and the rest of the movie is his dream because he
Did you
dreamt
read
that
this on a forum?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
And he dreamt that he was like
How
the
fast
main
is
guy
Mach
in a
8?
thing.
Or Mach 10. He was
Mach
How
10.8.
fast is that?
Well, 10 times the speed of sound.
What's the speed? Is it 10x? I don't think it's 10x.
Well, the speed of sound is like what? 900 miles an hour? Something like that.
Like 800, I think.
How fast is Mach 10.8? Okay, 3,700 meters a second. How fast is that? Fast. Yeah, you probably get. So he would just get
He'd die.
the wind would just crush him.
It would just rip him apart.
Interesting.
The plane got ripped apart.
Yeah.
He would get
about
ripped
that.
apart. I
But-
thought that was a really stupid way to start the movie.
Okay, but I mean, actually,
And I like the movie.
Have been doing defying reality, defying reality for a long time. That's kind of just like the MO, isn't it?
No, but that one, you're trying to make that one somewhat realistic. To start it off like
Yeah.
that is
Okay.
stupid. Plus, I don't think they get the budget to rebuild that thing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? A lot of stuff happens and he could have destroyed the airplane and the guy's like, nope, shutting it down. You don't have the budget to rebuild that, like
that's right.
whatever,
It's
$500 million plane.
Tons of money, right?
Yeah.
You see the eject out. I think about, oh my gosh, that's so much money. Right there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
I like your use of the word eviscerate, though.
eviscerated.
That's what
Yeah.
takes the guts out.
Disembowel.
Oh, he would have got disemboweled.
Yeah.
His bowels would have been flying separately
The
than his body.
claws of the wind dig right into those bowels, take them out.
There was a part where Neil deGrasse Tyson talked about that, and he's like, he's dead. Like there's
I trust
no chance of him surviving that.
Yeah.
And so I think that was a dumb way
Not
to
if he's
start it.
wearing even like a bear suit.
He
Like
was wearing like a
tacked up-
Fortnite suit, is what he was wearing. It was dumb. It was really
Did
stupid.
he have a parachute? How did he get down?
Parachute, yeah.
I'm assuming they didn't show him having a parachute.
He didn't glide for sure.
He didn't like squirrel suit it.
I wish like in Mario.
Right.
Well, no, like
I know
you know
what
those
you're saying.
like bridge jump guys,
Right.
No,
The
he
base
didn't.
jumper, yeah.
base jump.
But even those guys have a parachute.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. They have to, right? Because it's just a glide until they're ready to pull the chute.
Did
Yeah.
you think this when you watched it the first time?
Yes,
You did
absolutely.
it
Absolutely.
I didn't-
Immediately.
You were like, "Come on, give me a break."
I was like, okay, he'd never live through that. He would never live through that.
Yeah.
By the way, this is a side note. We need to have on one of our mini pods, Brandon discuss the inner workings of
Don't trigger me.
Paw Patrol.
Don't even trigger me.
Mayor Goodway, Mayor Humdinger.
I don't think I'm familiar enough to.
Have you seen Paw Patrol?
Yeah, I've seen it, but I don't know how much. I haven't watched it.
No,
enough to
he
understand.
will go on.
Have you seen the citizens of Paw Patrol?
He
All
could
right.
do a
They are
full mini pod,
over-policed.
half hour.
They are over policed.
We don't need to go-
over governed. It's a full on police state,
so-
dude. It's messed up. And the Mayor Goodwin, the amount of taxes.
Goodway.
Goodway. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Look at the technology that those stupid puppies are flying around in.
Oh yeah, okay, I see. You're
Do you
right.
think
They
all
do.
those citizens want that for when some like lizard crosses the street? No, they don't.
Those-
They do not need to have the fire patrol, the police, the water, the Coast Guard, recycling. Everybody goes out on site.
Why wasn't this what your deal with? This should have been what's the deal with Paw Patrol.
And we don't have enough time.
We should.
Yeah.
All right.
No kidding. That show is bad for kids. It's an over police. They're teaching them to trust.
You guys watch
the-
Parks and Rec ever? Parks and
Yeah.
Anyway, that one where the girl comes in and Ron Swanson teaches her about local government.
Mhm.
And then she comes back with the paper that explain how local government matters. And she writes, it doesn't.
Yes. Yes.
And
Exactly.
he's like, well said.
Yeah. Exactly. Anyway, so we'll discuss that on a different episode. But this week we're going to get to a different topic
Yes.
that I'm excited to talk about. That is a current issue in business that many people are going to, I think, disagree on aspects of it, depending on your position.
Yeah. If you're on the, yes, go.
Non-competes and where they're at. So
Go to YouTube, leave us a comment how you feel about this topic.
non-compete.
If you've had a
Non-compete.
non-compete, if you've enforced a non-compete.
So let's talk about what a non-compete is. So as they've evolved over the years, which they should.
Yep.
They should have, but they've evolved. And in the state of Idaho, a non-compete, you can hold a key employee to a non-compete agreement for 18 months post-employment.
you're saying that's what the law says.
Correct.
Yeah.
You're not saying what actually will get upheld in court.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, I had to redo some contracts at our office, and I was just informed by the attorney that for an employee to enter into a contract, and this is not legal advice,
None of this.
Marlene,
Disclaimer.
don't.
We are not lawyers.
Okay. I was told by the attorney that to have these employees enter into a non-compete, I have to offer them some form of consideration,
Okay.
money.
You're giving them something.
I have to offer them because they're giving up
Can't
something.
say, hey, you can keep your job.
They would, if they don't sign it, they leave.
Okay.
Right. And so for them to sign it, I have to say, I'm paying you a certain amount of money.
Like extra? You're saying, okay.
That's like separate from their salary or their
Right.
yearly
Now,
compensation.
If this had been entered into when they joined, then it's like,
I have to do the same thing is what I was told.
If they don't sign it, are you going to let them go? Would you?
yeah, you really have to.
They can't work here without that contract.
Yeah, because otherwise that's a risk, a huge liability that he has on his.
I mean, your brother went through the same thing.
He didn't sign
Yes.
We can talk about that.
it. Your brother.
We're down, John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember this. Go.
Okay. Well, anyway,
think
we can talk about that. But as an employer, if I have a non-compete in the state of Idaho, I have to separate out a portion of the amount I'm paying them and identify that as consideration for them signing a non-compete
if you-
agreement,
Interesting.
is what I was told.
Okay.
And so,
I've heard that too before, by the way.
and
it
so,
can't just be, so that means a lot of non-competes, I'm sure in the Valley or in the state are probably not enforceable.
well,
Well, I
they
think
would,
there's a
you
lot
would
of other
have
reasons too.
you would have to pay the consideration. Maybe they just say, well, it's not valid, but you just pay him consideration. Agree to
I
consideration.
wonder if you'd like negotiate that as an employee though. Like
You
how do you come
definitely
up with
could.
that number?
Well, okay. So if you're a physical therapist
Yeah.
and you're like, I'm entering an agreement to where I can't work anywhere in the next, in a 10-mile radius, I want some consideration for that.
Yeah, because
And they
what am I
should
supposed
get
to
it.
do if we separate for whatever?
Exactly.
Because you have complete control over me then, right? If
Exactly,
fire
you
me,
do.
yeah, we talk about we've mentioned Mark Moss. Well,
Yeah.
maybe we haven't mentioned his name,
A
but
friend.
a friend that I maybe or maybe.
Yeah. I think doctors or eye doctors or chiropractors or physical therapists or dentists, you're giving up
It's a big risk.
a bigger, like you have to travel to a different city
Yeah.
to practice. And that's a big deal. And so if you're exacting that from them, that's a big, you're giving that up, right? But are you guys in general for or against non-competes?
I think that's too. How can you not? If you have a business where you're going to bring on someone that's going to have insider, like, Yeah, I'm for them, but I think they just need to be reasonable. I think they just can't. It's just they serve a purpose.
I think they're more applicable in certain types of businesses, certain fields where your IP,
Yes,
right, is your main competitive advantage. So if there's some special technology that you have and you're keeping that under wraps and someone knows about it and leaves and then can just go create that same
Like
thing.
Tesla.
yes,
Like Tesla.
I mean,
Right.
I signed an IP agreement with my own company because
With Cobalt?
with Cobalt. Yeah, because if Cobalt sold to someone else, and then I was like, well, it was my idea. I can go do my own thing. The IP has to belong to Cobalt Intelligence
That's interesting. Didn't know that.
because otherwise it'd be a huge liability for that company that bought it. They'd be like, oh, well, what would stop you from just doing this immediately?
You could sign in the agreement. You could sign a ownership agreement of the IP, right?
Right. Yes, certainly.
He's just ahead of the game.
I think
it's
too.
when I took investors, right?
Okay.
It's only when
Okay.
the investors came in.
I think
it's
too.
supposed to be in here.
I think too. Customers.
If you're stealing customers.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
If you're in a sales, and sometimes that's hard though. Yeah, you're saying, so let's say, for example, you have a lot of people that have built relationships with their, with
Sales associate.
Yes. And so if they leave, you're worried about them taking them with them. But the problem is that person has a choice. Didn't we have someone, was it Mac? Someone who left, they worked in a business that was like a sales.
Mac was part of that. Yeah,
Yeah, and he left and they were like, what about a non-compete? I was like, well, these people can choose.
exactly. If you don't solicit them, they can
Yes.
still come to you.
And how do you, that's a non-compete. I don't know if it's enforceable. It sucks.
So in the state of Colorado, non-competes.
How do you know this? You know people in Colorado?
I was in the organization I'm at. There
Okay.
was some
Got
news and training about it.
Yeah.
But there was also an article about it recently. State of Colorado, to my knowledge, non-competes invalid.
Yeah.
So do you think no one signs them? Like they're not.
No,
allowed?
not legally valid in the state of
But
Colorado.
I'm just saying, does the company still give them to people? Because
I don't think
it's
so.
more scary, and that enforces it more than like if you actually took legal action, then you'd be fine.
So in our organization, if we buy an agency in Colorado and they have a non-compete, we have to rewrite that agreement so that, we're in compliance with local laws.
okay, so they might have. That's what I'm saying. They might have one,
Sure.
even though it's
But they're unenforceable.
It's not enforceable.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I bet you that a lot of people still do them because they're like, oh, I heard this is good. I'll print one off, get signed by employees and sign it,
Yeah.
or sign it, but it doesn't. It's not enforceable.
Have you ever been involved in a non-compete scenario?
We know Matt has.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Do you want to talk about it?
Sure. We can talk about it.
Well, I mean,
I thought it was interesting. It was. I mean,
It is an
I don't
issue.
know how much details you can go into.
I've been on the employer side of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you were right there with me
I was there
during
with
the
you.
whole non-compete thing.
I was there with you.
And that was tricky. Yeah, let's talk about it. So I worked for a company for almost 10 years.
Right.
I left that company.
And you had signed a non-compete during this time.
I had signed a non-compete. This doesn't, one way or the other, when I had left, anyway, so I left the company. Yes, I had signed a non-compete when I was there. I left to go do something in a totally different industry. Right. So when I left this company, I had no intention of competing with them. Then after, actually it wasn't a year.
Probably 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
even that long a time. An opportunity came up to do something that would go against this company. I didn't take any customer information. Did I have industry knowledge? Yeah, I did. And then actually formed my own company that was a competitor to this. So the 3 or 4 month thing that came up was working for somebody.
Yeah.
And then decided to
You're on.
start my own thing. And I actually talked to my previous employer, told him what I was doing, and nothing happened. It was kind of like,
And that was probably one of the biggest boons for that whole disagreement, wasn't it?
yeah. And I mean, I told them what I was doing after I had started doing other things. So things were in motion, right? With starting a business or starting this new business that would compete with them. And I got some great advice, and they're like, you need to let them know what's going on. Cause I just was saying they're going to find out when they're going to find out.
That was good advice.
It was great
I
advice.
remember looking back, that was great.
And it came from somebody who had dealt with it several times. And he's like, it's not fun to find out just, by word of mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I called them up and I told them what I was doing. And
that's like the legally good move to do and high integrity move to do.
Yeah. One thing I didn't do, I didn't ask if I had signed a non-compete. I didn't want to go there.
Right.
Didn't want to know.
I didn't want to know. And I had spent so much time thinking, did I sign one? Did I sign one? I don't remember signing one. I didn't have access, obviously, to my work email. I went through everything that I could find, and I was like, I know I didn't sign one. I would remember it. Well, turns out I did sign it, and it wasn't until later. So I'd called that company and told them what I was doing.
The president,
a couple of people, and it was mixed. The reception, was a little bit like
lukewarm.
One person was like, "Hey, awesome." The other person was like, "Okay. Well, what can I say? You're going to go compete and whatever." And then it wasn't until like, I don't know, 3 or 4 months after that they sent an email
6
to
months
me.
after that, I remember.
Was it 6 months? They sent an email saying, "You know what? We did some digging in. You did sign a non-compete." And that was like, oh, because we were like, we had already spent some money. We had already done some things with setting up this new business that was going to compete with them. And they were threatening legal action, which was super stressful because we're a new company. We don't have any money to fight a legal battle. We were calling anybody that would listen to us. We called Brandon's father-in-law. We talked to several people. Like, what do we do? And there's no real like non-compete lawyers that are specific, at least that
you could find.
There's business lawyers and things like that. And everybody that we had talked to, my brother who we had on the podcast dealt with something very similar. And it was just like, is it enforceable? Is it not? And we really didn't know. And it came down to, well, they have money. We don't have money. And it was going to be the end of this business that we had started. And, what else am I missing, Brandon, with that?
Not much. It was a lot of decisions that we were trying to make in a week.
Yeah.
And we had meetings, and then to their credit, they came back and said, "Hey, it's been 18 months since you signed that."
Yeah. So that's the part I left out. So I remember it was getting down to the wire where something was going to happen. They were going to dissolve us, make us go away. We were going to get rid of inventory or whatever. And I remember we were on the phone, you and I, like, hey, we had calls out to lawyers waiting for them to call us back. And because things were getting tight. And then we got a call from the president of this company, and he's like, "Hey, look, we're not trying to bluff, but we got some new information saying, we got some new information from our attorney, and we're not going to take legal action with this." And so he said, "We would prefer if you chose a different industry to start a business in."
Sure.
And also offered some other things, which were very generous of them. But so that was good on their part, but it was a really stressful time.
Honestly, it is to their credit that he called back, because he didn't have to, right? He could have just let you sweat.
Didn't have to, and just said like, "No, we're going to court. Like, you can't do this."
Or he could just say it though.
Mm-hmm.
And even that right there might have been enough to.
Yeah. Because we would have had to take it to, I don't know what else we would have done. Go to court, which I don't know that we're going to do that.
We didn't have the money to do that.
No.
Right.
Yeah, no, that was a crazy one. I think that non-competes are going to go away.
I think like this kind of non-compete, this is not a good one. If you have industry knowledge and you can't use it, I feel like the skills you learn on a job, those are skills that are yours. Yeah. That's part of the benefit of, but IP is a little different when you're using specific customer knowledge.
And it wasn't like, so I was in IT. Mm-hmm. So IT, you have a lot of access to information and things like that. It's funny. So I left, right? And time had passed. It's not like I left there with customer information.
Right. Yeah.
I knew certain things how they worked a little bit.
A process, you see.
But when I got to starting the new business, I was like, man, it would be really nice to have a customer list right now, or it would be really nice to have all this information. Cause I knew some stuff, but in a way it was like starting over. There was so much I didn't know.
Every business is, they're different. Yeah. For every person.
I think you knew one aspect of that company. but we needed to know a lot. We needed to know
Yeah.
like everything, and we didn't. So we just started from scratch.
Well, there's some things you can know, but also the relationships are so important. So with vendors and different things like that, we were so young, and it's like nobody knew us. We didn't have any credibility.
Yeah. Yeah. I think non-competes are going, because in my industry, I can do a non-compete, but all they're really restricted to is the customers that I have right now.
And as in they can't solicit, right?
Right.
But the customers can leave of their own will.
Yeah. The customers can, I'm not going to sue the customer, come back. Yeah. And so that, and there's like trade secrets, like how I do it. But that's a fight. That's like the losing battle, because they could say, we don't do it exactly like you.
Right.
Like, well, you do it similar. Like, okay,
right.
Good luck.
It's a tough one to enforce.
So it's like, look, I'd almost rather have them go away. There's a part of me that's like, look, okay, don't take my customer. Don't solicit my customers.
Right. It's really lame. It's unethical.
It's unethical.
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. Don't solicit my customers. Let them make the decision. You go your own way. We'll go our own way. I have a brother that's a dentist, and he's like, I would hate for a dentist to leave and take all my customers that we earned, but
how could you, but again, the person
gets to choose.
It's a very personal choice.
Yeah.
Like if you were going to a dental office and you see that dentist every time and he leaves, you're going to go with him.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Right. Right. You need a incentive to stay.
That's right.
Right. And so I don't know. But as a business owner, you're putting so much into these employees and dentists and doing so much. You feel like, hey, there should be some compensation for my end.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. As to why, like, what protections do I get?
Right.
Right. And so I see there's totally valid points on both sides. Right.
You'd rather take the stance of no non-compete at all.
At some point, I think that's where it's going.
Right. Should employers just come to accept the fact that you're training or potentially training your competitor?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're always in that. There's always that, because a few people have left and started their own agencies from here.
Mm-hmm. And
I think competitors should be looked at in a lot of ways as like, look, there's enough out there.
The pie's big enough.
My dad was like, all competitors of mine are my enemies. Mm-hmm. And so I sort of grew up with that influence, but I think now I feel so much differently about it. Like, look, I have very, very small portion of the industry, right. And I don't know who has the rest.
And you have to think about it. Most of the time,
sure.
It's almost like stress. Yeah. You can look at them sometimes to get ideas, whatever, but to have stress about, I don't know. To me, it's always been like, there's plenty of,
I think if you're inward focused, you're always just going to push forward and try to do things that are working and new and different and stuff. And that's the better way of doing it versus being vindictive.
Yes.
And being like, I'm going to stop them from competing against me. And so I think that's more productive for the economy, for, our society in general. But that changes your strategy on like, how do we make sure that, I think top key employees should have some restriction.
Yeah.
But I think
access. Yeah.
But I think lower entry level employees, they should be able to do whatever they want, go back and forth or do whatever they want, for the most part. You just got to treat it differently.
Right.
So, but I do think we're on the path of non-competes are going to be so restrictive that if you don't write it very specifically, then they won't hold up anyway.
Yeah. Sure. I can understand that.
So
I think I do hate is that the fact that Citadel was almost killed just by the fact that you didn't have the legal resources to fight it. I feel like that scenario, a lot of times it's like you go up anyone with deep pockets, and Brandon, we heard a story last week off air,
right,
about someone that had that scenario where they would have completely hosed if they wouldn't have had deep pockets to be able to fight a bigger company.
Yeah.
And that sucks, It's like you could lose tons of money because this guy just has more money and you're not going to even get to the point where you have a chance to win because you don't have enough money to fund
even if you're guaranteed to win, you couldn't fund it.
Right. It's right. You have to take like a loan and no one's going to,
nobody's going to give you a loan to win a lawsuit.
Right. I promise I'll win. And then you get your money back.
Yeah.
No one's going to do that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good business though. Starting loans
for lawsuit. I don't think that is a good business.
High risk. This is a guarantee.
It's a high risk business.
It's like bail bonds, but for like
business
like,
contract
loss.
discussions. Yeah.
Business legal issues.
Well, I'd be interested to hear what our listeners think.
Yes.
You know, from the employee side, from the business owner side, what you think, if you're are non-competes vital to your business?
Yep.
Or are they just like, if you eliminated all non-competes from your contracts, would your business be a lot different? Maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't.
Yeah, a lot of times it seems like it would. The thing is, like, most of the time you don't ever think about it, right? Until you need to.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, if you comment, we'll get you a box of cereal. We'll choose one comment. Get them a box of cereal.
Whoa.
Dude, I will give a box of cereal to every single comment.
Huh? You'll do one to everyone?
Whoa.
I mean, how many
That's
are
a
we
lot of
getting
comments.
right
No, that's a lot.
now? Okay, sure.
Maybe a little fun size cereal.
How
Yeah,
about
those like travel or the
first-
hotel size.
First 10.
First 10 comments get cereal.
Like in the next month, though, right? This isn't like
Okay.
forever, but first 10 comments.
They're going to have to give us their address.
Yeah.
Whatever. We'll probably
Or
know
they
who
can stop
are.
by the studio.
We know who they are. It's like
We
Marlene,
can
our
find
moms, us.
Yeah.
We have a ton of comments
Whoa.
on YouTube.
We don't count us. You guys are not eligible. Ineligible.
Yeah. You can't comment boo berries. Mr. Boo Berries.
All right,
I would have changed it.
We're
Run the outro.
Jordan has to go.
Thanks for listening.
Well, gentlemen, that was fun.